On the streets of Kuala Lumpur, it doesn't take long to figure out who's in charge. Images of the Prime Minister and his governing coalition colleagues are everywhere. As for the opposition party that's threatening the biggest shake-up Malaysian politics has ever seen, well, its profile is stealth-like by comparison. The People's Justice Party's headquarters are here in this suburban office building. This is where opposition leader Anwar Ibrahim plans to turn Malaysian politics upside down. On this day, he's trying to sort out troubles in the state of Perak. Last year, state elections put Perak in the hands of the opposition. But recent defections mean it's moving back to the governing coalition, the Barisan Nasional. For Anwar, these aren't the first defection issues. After he entered Parliament last year, he predicted a flood of federal MPs would abandon the government, allowing the opposition to take power. He even set a deadline for the transition in September. It didn't happen.
We had the numbers, but we thought that the government would abide by a normal democratic process. When we had the numbers, I sought an appointment with the Prime Minister to discuss the smooth transition. This was summarily rejected.
He won't quite admit setting a public deadline was a mistake, but it won't happen again.
Based on the last experience, I think it is probably more prudent to be quite discreet in these things.
The opposition leader knows full well just how far the government will go to derail his leadership ambitions. He's already spent 6 years in prison, and before his by-election campaign last year, a new sodomy charge was made against him. He won his way back into Parliament anyway. The latest sodomy case is yet to go to trial.
It is of no consequence to me at all. I mean, I'm not spending time or effort. I'm just living in silence with the lawyers. I don't want to be distracted because there's a whole intention of UMNO leadership is to try and get this case onto this track.
Well, we haven't had any problems.
So, what do the people think? For that, we sat down with one of Malaysia's top political pollsters in one of the many street restaurants that have made dining in Kuala Lumpur famous.
We find that he's emerged as the alternate leader. Unlike previous decades where the opposition has been in existence, but there's not been a solid leader that kind of embodies them, symbolizes them, he now represents an alternative political leader for Malaysia. So this is unprecedented.
Malaysians aren't just sizing up the opposition. They're also watching the party that has dominated every government here since independence, the United Malay National Organization, or UMNO. Next month, the leadership of UMNO will pass from Prime Minister Abdullah Badawi to his deputy, Najib Razak. And there are many who fear the change will not be for the better.
On a quiet street in Kuala Lumpur, there's a house that looks very similar to one in Washington, from the pillars, to the windows, to the replica Oval Office of Tengku Razali, a long-time UMNO insider. He's not even sure Najib, on the right, will become Prime Minister after getting the top job in UMNO.
Traditionally, the President of UMNO would be appointed the Prime Minister, also because in the past we control more than 2/3 of the House of Representatives. But the situation has changed.
Tengku Razali says after last year's election setback, UMNO had the chance to reform. But he says in upcoming party elections, he and other candidates have been shut out of top posts. Despite what the voters are saying, UMNO isn't changing.
No, it's not. When it involves corrupt practice, I don't think it will ever change because it is becoming more of a culture, and people are expecting to be paid for supporting certain candidates.
Najib Razak is assured of UMNO's presidency, despite being linked to a number of scandals, including a sensational murder trial. According to Anwar, Najib's continued rise is an opportunity for the opposition.
But you sense a lot of anxiety on the ground. All poll surveys indicate their anxiety against Najib taking over, precisely because of new charges, new allegations surfacing about his manner of doing things.
Ibrahim Sufian says there's no mistaking the change in mood. Malaysians, especially the young, will not accept business as usual when it comes to how their country is run.
I think people do have a certain sense of being fed up with the way certain government figures, political parties have been behaving over time, particularly over how minorities are being treated, over the kind of rhetoric that they're using, and also about the very blasé way that they handle the law in this land. And so that particular election was the signal for change.
If last year's election was a signal, so far it's not clear Malaysia's governing coalition got the message.
No reward proposing from Kuala Lumpur.